A young girl gives a homeless old man some change, but his true identity leaves her stunned. It was one of those bitter winter mornings when the sky looked like it hadn't smiled in weeks. Great clouds hung low over the city, and the wind whipped down the alleyways like it had a grudge against everyone. Most people had their heads down, hurrying along with gloved hands buried deep in coat pockets, eyes avoiding the shadows where the forgotten waited. But not Sophie. Sophie was only 16, a high school junior with big dreams and a heart even bigger. She was on her way to school, cradling a hot cup of cocoa in her mittened hands, her backpack swinging rhythmically with every step. As she passed the old bakery on Elm Street, shuttered and forgotten like so many buildings in this part of town, she noticed him. An old man, wrapped in layers of threadbare clothes, was sitting hunched beside the crumbling brick wall. A hand-painted cardboard sign rested on his knees, "Anything helps." God bless. He didn't call out. He didn't even look up. There was something different about him, something almost peaceful. Sophie hesitated. She didn't have much, just a little change in her coat pocket, but something tugged at her, an invisible string pulling her toward him. "Hi," she said gently, kneeling beside him. The man turned his face slightly, revealing eyes the color of faded denim and a face weathered by years of hardship. "Good morning," he said, voice rough like gravel but calm. Sophie reached into her pocket and pulled out a few coins and a crumpled dollar bill. "It's not much," she said, placing them in his gloved hand, "but maybe it'll help." He looked at the coins, then back at her, and offered a soft smile. "You're the first person who's looked at me today. That's worth more than gold." She smiled back, heart heavy. Before standing, she took off one of her gloves and handed it to him. "At least this way one of your hands will be warm." He looked at the glove, then her bare hand, then back at her with an unreadable expression. "Thank you," he whispered, more to himself than to her. Sophie left, but she couldn't stop thinking about him all day. There was something about the way he looked at her, as though he saw something familiar, something important. Over the next few weeks, she made it a habit to bring him food, blankets, even books. They talked. Not much. He never shared his name or story, but she learned he liked poetry and jazz, and that he once played the piano, a very long time ago. She told her mother about him, and though wary at first, her mom soon joined in, packing extra meals or helping Sophie look for ways to help more people like him. Then, one day, he was gone. The spot by the bakery was empty. His cardboard sign was gone. So was the worn blanket Sophie had given him. Weeks passed. Winter turned to spring, but the mystery of his disappearance lingered in Sophie's heart. It wasn't until her school held its annual spring talent show that the story took an unexpected turn. Sophie had joined a group volunteering to help set up the stage and escort some of the local performers. One act on the schedule was a last-minute addition, special guest pianist, Mr. Samuel Hart. Nobody recognized the name. Sophie assumed he was just a local music teacher or retired professional. When the man walked onto the stage, her breath caught in her throat. It was him, clean-shaven, dressed in a modest suit, and with a much straighter posture, but undeniably the same man who once huddled outside the bakery. The auditorium fell silent as he sat at the piano. His fingers hovered over the keys for a moment, then he played. The melody poured out like a waterfall of emotion, sad and sweet, gentle and strong. It was a story without words, but it told everything, of struggle, of loss, of hope. The audience erupted in applause. Sophie couldn't move. After the show, she found him backstage. He looked at her with a small, knowing smile. "I hoped I'd see you again," he said. "But, I don't understand," she whispered. "My name is Samuel Hart. I used to play with jazz ensembles back in the day, toured the world, even taught at a conservatory. But life doesn't always play a smooth tune. My wife passed. I spiraled. Lost my home, my will, everything. For years, I wandered." She felt tears sting her eyes. "You," he continued, "were the first person who reminded me I was still human. That I wasn't invisible. That kindness still existed. Because of you, I found the courage to walk into a shelter. They helped me get cleaned up, reconnected with old contacts. An old friend helped me get this gig. I didn't do much," Sophie said, voice breaking. "You did everything," he said. "You gave me hope." That night, Sophie walked home with a heart full of something deeper than joy. She had learned that even the smallest kindness can echo louder than we ever imagine. She never looked at people the same way again, not just those on the street, but anyone who seemed lost or overlooked. Samuel went on to play at local events, eventually opening a small music school for at-risk youth. Sophie volunteered there throughout high school and later studied social work in college. Their bond, formed on a frozen sidewalk with a few coins and a glove, became a lifelong connection rooted in compassion. Sometimes, the most extraordinary stories begin with ordinary gestures. And sometimes, a single act of kindness can resurrect a life.